Hi there, Jamie Cunningham with SalesUp TV. When you talk about the word budgeting with most business owners or entrepreneurs, their skin normally starts to crawl, or they'd rather go and eat sand. And honestly, I'm in that boat too. Budgeting is not the thing I jump out of bed in the morning and get all excited to go and do. And I'm not even convinced that having a specific budget that you look in, day in, day out in your business is the be all and end all that it's cracked up to be. I know there might be some of you out there that will disagree with me, and I'm not saying it can't be a good tool, but what I want to talk to you today is about a type of budget that, while you can use it as a day-to-day tool to run your business, its real power lies in how it forces you to think. You see, the typical way we see a lot of businesses run is people go there and they try and make as many sales as they can, and then they try and minimize their cost, but there's always the cost of doing business, and then at the end of the week, month, year, they take a look and see how much money they've made. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's not. Well, what we're going to talk about today is a methodology that makes profit not negotiable. And what it really does, as I alluded to, is it forces you to think in different ways about how you're managing the expense side of your business. And it can force you to make some really tough decisions about your spending. And it's those tough decisions that can lead you to have substantially higher than industry average profitability. And hopefully that gets your attention. So it's very simple. And as I said, it can either be used as a concept just for expanding the way you think about spending, or it can be used to get into the detail of developing a day-to-day budget. But simply said, I'm going to throw it up here on the whiteboard, hence we're in the studio here, but some very simple numbers. There's only a few things you need to look at. The first step is looking at what your conservative sales forecast is going to be. So we start with sales. And I'm just going to use some real simple numbers here just so you get the concept. But let's say sales are going to be 100 bucks. Now, whatever yours are, million, 10 million, 100,000, doesn't matter. But you start with a conservative view of what you think the future is going to look like. And then we decide how much profit do we want to make. So we go straight to profit. And let's keep it simple in this business. I'm going to throw around some percentages here, but it really does depend on your industry. A starting point is to take a look at what your industry average is, and I can tell you need to be aiming definitely above your industry average, because most businesses are not doing well. Most businesses in your industry are not doing well. So if you're aiming for the average, you're probably not going to be aiming that high. But for simple numbers, let's say it's going to be 15%. Right? Generally speaking, a 10% profitability is acceptable, 15% pretty good, 20% awesome. Again, that's going to depend on industry, but as a general rule. So sales, we get a profit. Now the next thing is obviously you're going to have some costs involved with delivering your product and service. So we call that cost of sales. Cost of sales. This is the materials and direct labor that goes into delivering what it is that you're in business to deliver. And let's say in this case that cost is going to be $40. So that would be a 40% cost, giving you a gross profit. Gross profit of $60. Okay, now we know we want to end up with $15, also 15% in profit. So now the cost that we're left over with that we've got to fit in there is our overhead. Overhead or fixed costs. So we know we've got $60 left over after we've paid for our cost of sales. We want $15 left over at the end of the day, so that gives us $45. $45 to spend on overhead. Now overhead is going to be your rent, your utilities, administrative salaries. It's going to be your insurances, cars, whatever it might be that you need to open your business. So the power of this model is, when you get to this, in most cases, people struggle to make their overhead fit into this amount that's left over. Of course, the whole exercise here is you do this, then you might look at it and you go, okay, there's no way that's going to happen. We've got to do, we're just definitely going to have $50 worth of cost here. So then it forces you to say, okay, for us to get still to our 15, what can we change up here? What can we do differently here? Or what are we assuming we need to have at the overhead level that really, if we cut out, would not directly impact how we run our business? So this is what I mean by this philosophy can force you to look at some expenses in a different way. And a way I like to define expenses in a business is there's really only two reasons to spend money. And one is to get customers and the other one is to keep customers. So obviously there's a lot that can go into that, but there can often be a lot of fat in the expenses of a business, a lot of pimping your ride, where you're spending money on things you really don't need to be spending as much money on. Obviously for business owners there can be discretionary items that you're putting there to reduce your profitability. But the purpose of this exercise is to get us to look critically at how we're choosing to spend our money, and are we investing it in things that truly do grow the business or can keep customers coming back time and time again. So have a crack at that in your business, and as I said, you can then use that for an ongoing budget, break it down into detail, or you can simply use it as an exercise to force you to expose some expenses that you really don't need to be investing in. Have some fun with it. Jamie Cunningham with SalesUp TV, signing out.